A first listen and analysis of Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen is an American singer, songwriter, and musician who has released over 20 albums, most of which was featuring his famous backing band, the E Street Band. This track, Born to Run, comes from the album of the same name, and it was a real effort from Bruce to break into the mainstream, which he did with this album. Bruce apparently woke up with the track Born to Run, the title, in his head, and I love when musicians share the stories of how they come up with their music. I learned about Yesterday by the Beatles and how Paul McCartney awoke with the track in his mind. What I think that is probably musicians are so wrapped up and passionate about what they're creating that somewhere in their subconscious they're still creating, so when they're sleeping they're actually working on their music. So when you hear this song, it's probably some real deep subconscious part of Bruce's mind which we're listening to. That's at least how I like to look at it. This track is one of his most famous songs. It's been included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. It's often considered one of the greatest songs of all time. Can't wait to hear this one. But before that, if you do end up liking this video, then hit me with a like, perhaps share it with a friend. Also, if you're into daily music content and analysis just like this video and you're new to the channel, then subscribe and join our awesome community we have. Here we go. This is Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. Someone in the last video said that they have a countdown before I say turn it up, and I'm not going to say it this time. I'll promise you that. I'm going to back this up and go again. Okay, I love the sound and sentiment of this track. I think what I understand about this is the sort of American spirit. If you could distill like what I believe the American spirit is into a track almost and into some lyrics, I think this would be it. You know, the hope, the optimism, the let's get to a better place from a bad place ethos that exists is in this song, right? Baby, this town rips the bones from your back. It's a death trap. It's a suicide rap. I imagine when he released this in 75, this really spoke to a whole bunch of people who felt as if the small towns or the places that they were in, even in big cities, were a trap for them, and it was an opportunity or a song, an inspiration for them to get out of their situation. I love those keys on this thing too.
Wrap your legs around these velvet rims and strap your hands across my engines. Together we could break this trap. We'll run till we drop.
Great keys.
Baby, we'll never go back. Oh, you walk with me out on the wire. 'Cause baby, I'm just a scared and lonely rider, but I gotta know how it feels. I wanna know if love is wild, babe. I wanna know if love is real.
This track musically kind of surprised me. Going into Springsteen, I certainly had like some expectations of what it's going to be, but musically this track is actually great. It's got some fantastic piano playing in the background, and I love that when the sort of chorus kicks in, or when this, not even the chorus, I think it's like the pre-chorus kicks in. There's these great lead guitar chords that come in too, which is fantastic. And again, I love the sentiment of this thing. It's the idea that there's a life out there to live that's not being lived lived by this person. Maybe this was a personal experience of Bruce where he was stuck in a place where he hated, and he felt as if there's a greater life out there, greater purpose, a mission out there for him to go and experience. And it's a kind of call to arms for anyone who is in a similar situation to him. I think we're about to get into a sax solo, so let's go. Great keys, man. Great piano.
Beyond the palace, semi-powered drones scream down the boulevard. Girls comb their hair in rearview mirrors, and the boys try to look so hard. The amusement park ride and bowling start. Kids are up on the beach in the mirrors.
There's been a shift in the music.
On the street tonight and an everlasting kiss.
It sounds like off the sax solo, which was like very sexy and sleek, it's as if they've gone to the big city now and they're actually living the life that they were saying. So beyond the palace, hemi-pound drones scream down the boulevard. So they're in the big city now, and the music is completely switched up, right? It's gone to something different, completely different. The pianos have switched up. The notes that he's playing have switched up. Kids are huddled on the beach in the mist. I want to die with you. So their dreams have perhaps come true, and he's with this girl who he wanted to run away with. Pretty cool story going on in the background. This must have been huge when he did it live. Giant sound.
The highway's jammed with broken heroes on a last chance power drive.
Oh, great line.
Everybody's out on the run tonight, but there's no place left to hide. Together, Wendy, we can live with the sadness. I'll love you with all the madness in my soul.
That's my favorite part of this whole track, when it kind of the other instruments dull down and we get into that little piano section. I'll back it up 10 seconds so we can hear it again. But I think that's my favorite line, or like a couple of lines I've heard so far, when he goes 1, 2, 3, 4. The highway's jammed with broken heroes. Great way to phrase that, man. There's a pretty famous saying that by Thoreau, a famous like philosopher, who said the mass of men live lives in quiet desperation. That's essentially what he's said, but he's rephrased it in a more modern way. You know, the highway's jammed with broken heroes on a last chance power drive. Wow. Great phrasing, man. Great phrasing. Yeah, I'm going to back this up again so we can hear this little section of the track, which I really like. The key, where the keys really take off.
Together,
This bit.
we can live with the sadness. I'll love you with all the madness in my soul. Oh, someday, girl, I don't know when we're gonna get to that place where we really wanna go, and we'll walk in the sun. But till then, chance like us, baby, we were born to run. Oh, honey, chance like us, baby, we were born to run. Come on, Wendy, chance like us, baby, we were born to run.
I'll say it again. If you could like put to music the American spirit, or like what I believe is an aspect of the American spirit, the American dream, I should say, is this track, man. The idea that you're from nothing and you can make it. It's got a lot of hope and optimism in it. I thought it was telling a story straightforward, but a couple lines at the end made me realize he's actually just selling this dream to this girl who he's trying to sort of convince to come with him. because I thought that they had escaped and were in the big cities that they were dreaming of. But he actually says to her at the end, I don't know when we're gonna get to that place. So he's saying to her that, you know, it's not there yet. We're not there yet, but we can. Just join me. Come with me, Wendy. Wendy's the girl who he's talking to. I'll talk about what I loved and what I didn't like. Musically, I thought that it was pretty impressive. There was certainly a lot of different instruments I don't always hear on rock tracks. The sax solo and great keys throughout. I think Springsteen's voice suited the sentiment of the track too. He's got a hardness, something that goes along with his voice that makes you believe that he lived this life at one point. What I don't like about it, I'll say maybe it's just probably a sort of victim of his own success, is this sentiment is probably a little bit overdone. I feel like a little bit cheesy. Maybe it's because of Springsteen being so successful. So many people try to replicate this idea and this sound. So it's got a hint of cheesiness to it, especially from someone who's coming from a hip-hop background. But overall, for what it is, I do like this song. It's a great song. It's got some great lines on it. Still, that Highways Jam with Broken Heroes on a Last Chance Power Drive is a brilliant, brilliant line. I'm happy to check out more Springsteen, man. This was a decent song. I'll give it a thumbs up.